is the first critical issue that we had was we are still replicate several of our core tables from MS SQL and MS SQL database to BigQuery. What we do that with Dataflow, but at that point in time, Dataflow wasn't the easiest to navigate. Every time we have an issue, it wouldn't rerun. Maybe it was an out of memory issue, whatever. It wouldn't rerun, and the logs were very verbose. We moved that to be orchestrated by Mage, and within, I think it was 2 months, we had all of those tables. I believe there are 90 of them at the moment. 90 of our core tables managed by Mage, and we rarely had a problem since. And that was something that would fail. We'll have a downtime maybe like 30% of the time it was down, and now it's rare. If that process is down, I would be really, really surprised. It's never down. It's always working. It's always, and that was really a really huge win for us as a data team, like very early on in our Mage journey.
All right, hey everybody. Hopefully everybody has had time to join. The first thing I wanted to do is just get a quick reminder out of the way. And that's to let you know that LinkedIn and YouTube have about a 1-minute delay. So please share any of your questions anytime during the presentation, and we'll try to answer them, when the time makes the most sense. So with that reminder out of the way, I wanted to welcome everyone to our Learn with Mage session. I'm Cole Freeman, and I'm a developer advocate at Mage. And today we're going to be talking with David Cahill Marrón. And he's a data engineer at Lodgify who's had hands-on experience with Mage in production for over 2 years. So David brings a unique perspective. He's worked across banking, project management, and now he's in travel tech at Lodgify. More importantly, he's been orchestrating data workflows with Mage for the last 3 years, and he's integrated it with dbt, BigQuery, Dataflow, and various other cloud services. So David, let's go ahead and get started. But can you start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you do at Lodgify? And really, you can kind of expand on what Lodgify does as a business as well.
Cool. So thank you very much for having me. My name is David Cahill, and as you said, I'm a data engineer at Lodgify. Lodgify is a SaaS company, and it's a vacational rental management system. So it's a SaaS for that. And I'm in the data department, just making sense of all the data that we have, which is getting larger by the second, and just giving structure to it. So what do I do as a data engineer? As everybody who's looking at this knows, a data engineer moves information from point A to point B. My job is to make sure that gets there in time, ready to use, and it's reliable. So basically, that's what I do in a nutshell. And we've been using, as you said, Mage for a while now. Been using it nearly for 2.5 years, just to orchestrate everything that we do in the data team. All of our data ecosystem is at least in some way based in Mage, or orchestrated by Mage, or at least touched in some way by Mage at this moment in time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So being in travel tech or hospitality tech, what are some of the unique data challenges you have experienced specifically at Lodgify?
So it's first one. I was speaking with a VP of data this morning about this, and we all both had the same view, which is the sources. We have way too many sources for my liking, but it is what it is, and we have to make sense of them. We have to treat them and just make them go where they need to go. So that was one of the major challenges that we had, and just going forward, it is going to still be the challenge for us. Just give structure to those, generate trustful decision making based on giving our data the right format and make it arrive in the right, schemas.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how are you accessing all of your sources? Are they like API sources? Are they data? Are you scraping data from, sites? How exactly is it working?
So we've got all kinds. So, for example, using Mage, we use API. We also copy from our DBs that the platform team have set up here in Lodgify with all kinds of events that we have on our website. We say API, we scrape some information, DB. It's just all kinds that we do at the moment.
Awesome. So walk us through some of your current data stack at Lodgify and how Mage fits within this data stack.
So the current data stack that we use, we are GCP-native. So everything is going through Google Cloud Platform, and we use DBT as our transformation. Right now, we're using Metabase and Tableau as our dashboards. So everything, from source to end game being the dashboards is orchestrated by Mage. So we copy those DBs, we replicate them to BigQuery using data flow that is orchestrated by Mage. We grab, from any kind of API, you name it, Lead Dino, whatever. All examples like Facebook ads, Google ads. We move it through using Mage orchestrator, and then we move it to BigQuery, and Mage also triggers our DBT jobs. Those transform the data, we get the end result for what we want, and then the end products. Right now, we could say Tableau and Metabase are for dashboarding, but we also are now working on using LLMs to use metrics for our agents.
Okay, awesome. And so what were you using before Mage, and kind of what prompted you to make that switch?
Interesting enough, that was my first project coming into Lodgify nearly 3 years ago. So when I came in, we didn't have a data orchestrator, bar having a Cloud Run and just a cloud scheduler in GCP. And that was the first decision we had to make as a team. Did we want to go with something maybe more established like Airflow, or going with Mage? At the end, we made a decision to go with Mage. We started with the OSS. We set it up firstly in our local and the laptops, then went to Docker, then went to Kubernetes, and now we're now with Mage Pro since I think it was the start of the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of like what went into the process of comparing Mage Pro to Airflow and maybe another like data orchestration tool that you were considering using?
I think it's Lodgify at that point in time was as a startup, still is in some ways, but I think we've moved past that being called startup now. And it was Mage fit into our culture. Really, it was a fast growing, easy to use, easy to deploy, easy to onboard tool. So we tested it. It was really easy to get something going really quickly. Like, for example, in 2 minutes, you can have something you can read from a DB and export it to BigQuery, or just do some transformation. That was what we were after. And we looked at it, we loved it, and that's when we just decided really on the spot.
That's awesome. And from a practical standpoint, how has using Mage affected your ability to, I guess, maintain and scale your, different parts of your business for the past 2 years?
Massively. So Mage has been one of the cornerstones for our data engineering ecosystems, you could call it. It's allowed us to build all types of pipelines, test them really, really quickly, have them ready to deploy in a matter of days, even weeks, and then just scale them. So, for example, let me just give a quick example. Yeah, we at the start we were ingesting a couple of small tables that grew in size in a matter of I don't know, a couple of months. They were like 10 times what they started being. Mage handled it no problem. We were able to handle it no problem. And one of the things that we really liked about it is the monitoring side of it, the retry configuration. That gave us the calmness, if you will, just to say, okay, that's there. Then we can go and build something else. We can test this. we could have several projects at the same time. We could build stuff like going forward while something was like being deployed, early stages of life.
Yeah, awesome. I see that we have a couple questions rolling in. I will get to those in a second, but can you kind of share a specific example where Mage helped you solve a critical business problem? And I know we're going to get into a demo here soon, but if you could just answer that question, and then we can get to some.
I'll start with what I was planning on showing the demo later on. Is the first critical issue that we had was we still replicate several of our core tables from MS SQL and MS SQL database to BigQuery. What we do that with Dataflow, but at that point in time, Dataflow wasn't the easiest to navigate. Every time we have an issue, it wouldn't rerun. Maybe it was an out of memory issue, whatever. It wouldn't rerun. And the logs were very verbose. We moved that to be orchestrated by Mage, and within, I think it was 2 months, we had all of those tables. I believe there are 90 of them at the moment. 90 of our core tables managed by Mage, and we rarely had a problem since. And that was something that would fail. We'll have a downtime maybe like 30% of the time it was down. And now it's rare. If that process is down, I would be really, really surprised. It's never down. It's always working. It's always, and that was really a really huge win for us as a data team, like very early on in our Mage journey.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So I want to get to there's a couple user questions here from at Max Brooks 8657. So I wanted to go ahead and I can read these to you. I think I'm not quite sure what order these came in, but it looks like this person is working on a POC to migrate, looks like Google Sheet data into a data warehouse that they have.
I can answer that one if you want, because we have done that.
Yeah.
The one that I'm going to show you later on, we read from the Google Sheet, and I'll explain the use case why. But we have done that in two ways. You can have it being a Google Sheet, you can have a native BigQuery table directly, but what you're missing is what he mentions there about quality checks and scam enforcement. We don't have them anymore because we've moved them. It's tables that have grown, so we've deprecated them. But we did have it at that certain point in time. Using Mage, reading from Google Sheet was a really easy implementation. Then we used we read it. We used the test that you can build with Mage quite easily. We just asserted a couple of things. We created a transformer block just to do a couple of transformations, and then we exported with BigQuery. The schema enforcement, obviously, we had a schema in BigQuery, so it had to match it. Right. And I'm trying to think if there was any other questions. Yeah, it was quite easy to do, and it was one of the first kind of projects that we did just to test a couple of things. Everything was on just in place, and now we do read from Google Sheets, but on a different use case that I'll show you later on.
Okay,
that answers your question.
So I think you probably just inferred the schema in a transformer of some sort, and then you obviously use the @test decorator to do your data quality checks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So the @test decorator within Mage is quite an easy and quick way to ensure data quality. And then again, just for these kind of quick tests, quick builds that you do with Mage, it's really good at that because of the modular approach. That's what we did. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's. Sorry, I've been a little sick here lately, but let's go ahead and get started with the demo.
Okay. Let me I believe I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I am. Cool. So I just want to show you that we've got 78 pipelines and growing in our live environment. This is our live environment in Mage Pro. And the one I wanted to show you guys is the dynamic data flow launcher. I've explained this one before. Let me just, I've just mentioned it a bit. I'll explain it again. So what this is we had a replication of our main core tables using data flow. Data flow at that point in time, it was a pain to manage. Every time there was something down, somebody had to go in, recreate the job, and we just wanted something easy to trigger it with, and also schedule it. We had to schedule the 80, I think it was 81 jobs one by one, and now obviously we do it quite simply within Mage. So yeah, so this is the flow that we have. We wanted to make it idempotent. So the first, I'll show you now the code in a bit, but I think it's a bit visual here. We read the parameters that we need. We use a Google Sheet for that. I'll explain why. I'll explain the connection. We do a bit of a remover of the partition for that day, so we don't have any duplication. We extract the parameters that we want for data flow, and we launch the job. So obviously, we build the trigger. Triggers in Mage are very, very easy to build, and the good thing about them is, let me just show you quite quickly. We can just have a couple of variables per trigger. We can change them per trigger. So sometimes we do play with those triggers a bit. In this one, it's just a very, very easy trigger that we set just to run every day at 25 to 2, every single.
So I can see that you're running like 96 blocks.
I was going to go through that.
Yeah. So this is obviously a dynamic block.
It's a dynamic one. Yeah, okay. Exactly. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys. Let me just prepare here this. So what we do here, just going firstly mentioning the Google Sheet. Obviously, one of the really cool things now with Mage Pro, it's way easier than before to manage our environmental variables. So we've got that all across the board. We read a Google Sheet, and we generate it as a data frame. So the cool thing about this setup is we wanted to give everybody within the data team, being really technical data engineering or not, the possibility to add or change these tables, right? So let's just assume that they want to add a new table. We've got a process set up, but we didn't want to hinder them with, I just need to add a new table and test it. I don't want to do a full-on PR. So we added a Google Sheet for this logic. That's something we haven't discussed on design, but I think for the time being, it's good, and it's also good for this demonstration. So project the Google Sheet that needs approval, obviously, but you can see that you add some columns, you add some of your fields, and you get your data frame here. You've got your query, you've got the output table where it will go to, the partition ID, if it's a truncator or append table, where it's going within our BigQuery project. So once that is done, this is the I'll say it, the output that we get it. Then we go into this one, which is just a parameter extraction, as I said, for data flow. We're using all kinds of blocks here. So this is, I'll go back to the dynamic one in a second. We use a data loader. This one here is a data, even though I call it remover, is a transformer that just deletes the partition for every single day, just to avoid any kind of duplications. If somebody misclicks, if there's something that we need to rerun, we forget about it. No problems there. And then we go back to the dynamic, because I believe right now we've got 91 tables running in this process. It was, as I said, doing a data flow, it was a pain. Sequentially, we had to build the whole thing. Now with Mage, we can do it dynamically. We set it up once, we make it run, and this job will make this one below it run the number of times we need it. So once per row in the data frame. So that for us was a game changer. This was quite easy to, once we got our heads around what a dynamic block was, this was really easy to build, and it worked like a charm. So this data flow launcher will just partition it itself into as many rows as we need, and it will launch the data flow jobs. It will launch the data flow jobs. It depends on which of our environments we are. If we are in our dev environment, it will write all of them into our dev data set, where we just use it for testing. If we are in live, it will go to live. And the cool thing,
so how often is this? How often does this pipeline run?
Once a day.
Okay, so you were prior to Mage and Mage Pro, you were changing, or you were having to go in and edit your data flows like probably 10 times a month. Is that
so we will have to do it? So you will have to sit down and do the whole thing once, like add as many as you needed once, and then every time you needed to add a new job, you will have to copy an existing job or create from scratch and add all of the configuration, which took a while.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's a very the process with that configuration side of it. It takes, I would say, it doesn't even take 10 minutes. And testing it, if you test only one table, it takes about 5 minutes. Well, it depends obviously on the size, but normally it takes about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saving. I mean,
I'm saving quite a day of work probably.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that. I'm saving quite a huge amount of time on this, and the good thing is it runs the whole of the whole list, whole data frame, and if one fails, the rest continue running.
Yeah,
and I don't have to finish that that sequentially, which did happen as a bit from time to time. As I said, it just works like a charm. We don't really have to worry that much about it, and this is the cornerstone this is like our first job on an evening. This would run, and this is like the kickstart of our whole data flow.
Okay, awesome. All right, is there any more you want to go into on this?
So when this one finishes, right, what it does is we have some sensors, which I can show you as well, because I was talking about how we do this is the copy, and then we go into the transformation side of things where we use DBT. What we have here is a very, very, very simple idea, which is we have a sensor, which is one of the really cool things that we have in Mage as well. We have a sensor just to check if that process has failed. If it hasn't, and if it's succeeded, this one kickstarts, and then it goes into the DBT Cloud run. We just trigger our main run from Mage, and it takes care of everything. It pulls the job and makes sure that the job ends. If the job fails because, as I said, memory issue, whatever, it will retry it as many times as we've configured it, which is a game changer for us as well. And then we forget about it. That it's just our flow. When we started, it was a bit wonky, which is what happens. And now I think people sleep quite easily because they know they don't have, even though we have firefighters and we have people on call just to make sure that everything's okay. We rarely have a massive outage because of this. It takes care of itself.
Yeah, and I'll kind of explain what a sensor block is for everybody. But basically, it looks like what you have it set up as is to sense when that when that pipeline finishes running, to kick off this specific pipeline here. So the sensor block is kind of a way you can orchestrate pipeline, a pipeline from an external pipeline finishing, or you can even set it up for a specific block within a pipeline to finish. I think also sensor blocks can kind of detect when a cloud storage has a new file inserted and things like that. So it's a very helpful orchestration tool within Mage.
It is, and we use it for our core, what you would call our core data flow, which is the DBT job. Well, firstly, the one I showed you before, the replication of our main core tables, the DBT transformation, and then once that is done, we also have several other jobs that are pending on this one. The main one is the refresh of all of our dashboards in Tableau. At the end of the day, us as a data team, what we want is to enable Lodgify to make the best decisions with the data we have. So give them the data to actually take those decisions. And the dashboards is one of the ways that we do at the moment. So they need to be refreshed and with the right data. So that's how we do it at this point in time.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other additional pipelines you want to kind of talk to?
I'll show you another one that I think is very cool, which is the first like use of AI that we did at Mage. So this one it was an MVP that we built. Probably some people in the team wouldn't want me to show this, but I'm doing the presentation, not them. It's the first one that we did, and we're basing all of our classifications on this now. So what it does, what this does is we classify customer success tickets using an LLM. And we leveraged Mage to do this. This was like the first one that we did out of all of them. Now we're doing, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have 5 different classification systems. They're all very similar, but I wanted to show you the first one because it's like the first baby that we had. It was very, very easy to build with Mage in what I said before, because of the modular approach. It was very easy to build the prompt loaders, which is going back to that question on Google Sheets. We use a Google Sheet for this because it was the easiest way for people who are not that technical to actually change the prompt, and we could test it really quickly. And we could test everything on just a very, very on speed dial, really. What it does is it grabs several prompts that are in Google Sheets, so that was quite easy. We grabbed the tickets that we wanted, which are in BigQuery. That allows us to grab 3. If you see in here in the graph, we've got the last update. We check the last time we did this process on our table. We grab that information. We grab those 2 prompts. Then we go into the ticket loader. We just grab the tickets that we want. This is the last update that we did. Then with that, we've got 3 data frames that we feed here. So the good thing about this was we were able to grab 3 outputs quite quickly, and then build a call to an LLM that we could iterate on. So this process, and then we export them. The 2 different categories is a category based on module. And export a table based on the modules and based on the categories. And the cool thing about it is we built this in about 2 weeks. So we got let's build an MVP. We built it in about 2 weeks, and that was with all the testing for the engineering side. Obviously, the prompts took a bit longer, but that was the cool thing. We could iterate and work really fast on it because of Mage's modular approach. So it was a really cool experiment. I wanted to show it because this is one of our early AI adopting within Mage, and I thought it was a really cool piece of tech to show.
Yeah, so you went from conception to MVP, or really production for your MVP in under 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
that's really great.
Yeah, the only thing regarding production, we were waiting on a bit on the prompt. But yeah, with the original prompt that we gave just to have a quick view, it was 2 weeks. And then obviously we fine-tune it, with AI. We wanted to have it quite right, but it was 2 weeks for the engineering side. Yeah.
If you're able, are you able to show some of your prompts to the audience just so they can see them?
Well, I'm guessing nobody is going to tell me off because I'm already done it. So we've got a massive prompt here. So as you can see, it's loads of text that you can see here. We grab that, we grab the other prompt. So you've got 2, and also we grab the message. So the message could be a ticket, for example, I don't know, I'm using Lodgify and I've got a double booking. And what we wanted to avoid is somebody going in and having to classify this ticket by hand. So it's loads of information. You have to read through it. And with this, we just give it the 2 prompts that are already defined. We read the message. We we collate everything together as a general message for the prompt, and we send it. And the LLM takes care of the rest.
Yeah, and so the use case really here is just saving your customer success team a whole lot of time classifying, some random little, oh, I love Lodgify type,
Exactly.
type.
Well, I mean, if all the messages were "I love Lodgify," I think they were really happy. But it's more that you're saving people the time of having to read through every single ticket when maybe they wouldn't get to the most urgent ones first.
Right.
So this serves us, this being the cornerstone. Then we have all the models a bit more. This is a bit like the OG, but the other ones are a bit more sophisticated. They will classify it and give it an urgency per the ticket as it deserves.
Yeah, no, and it just, it kind of probably helps them structure their day a little bit easier, and you're reducing the pain on somebody else's team like that kind of has to take care of these things.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole, for me, that's the whole goal behind data engineering, is just really getting the tedium and the massive amount of information, just get it ready for consuming.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, anything else you want to share on the demos, or you want to get back?
No, I think if unless there's any questions that they want me to show anything in particular, these were like the two use cases I really wanted to mention. We have 78 pipelines in production. We have loads of cool use cases, but these two were like the closest to my heart, really, to show it to you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And just that you mentioned that this is a good time to mention again that we're kind of on a delay. So if you have any questions, please get them in as soon as you can. But kind of now that we've seen pipeline in action, are there any other like major use cases you can think of or that you're working through at Lodgify that Mage is helping you with? You don't necessarily have to show them, but just some, kind of a list or a brief,
Yeah, we've got loads. Our data science team is amazing, and they are building loads of cool stuff. One of them is predicting churn. So that's very exciting, to be honest.
Yeah.
They also have the lead conversion prediction pipeline, which is they predict which of our trial users are likely to convert to a paid subscription. So
Okay.
that's very cool, and they do it with Mage. We also have another one that the VP of data built that's really cool as well, which is a Jira bug similarity pipeline. So what it does is when you create a new bug ticket in Jira, it will look at similar tickets and it will say, okay, you've got these similar tickets as well. So that's a very, very cool one, just to see if we've having like the same kind of bug all over the place.
Okay.
So those two are built with Mage. What else do we have in the pipeline that is cool at the moment? Oh, well, this might not sound cool at all, but it is to me. We want to build something for our stale tables in BigQuery. So we check what tables haven't been used in a while, and we get rid of them. Not everybody's definition of thrilling, but it is mine. And another one is we have a pipeline for our GDPR issues. So basically, here in Europe, GDPR is a big thing, and what we want is to enforce it and ensure it. So we have a pipeline that obfuscates sensitive information I think we do it every 2 weeks for the users that have requested it. So we do that with Mage all across our BigQuery projects.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So you're like using Mage for dual, both data engineering and data science type work. So, and just for users who aren't aware, or just for like viewers who aren't aware, Mage is definitely like capable of performing like data science type pipelines as well. So that's cool to see that you're doing both of those. And like I know for an important metric, churn is like super important. So it's interesting to see that you're using Mage to predict churn for Lodgify.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of data science running at the moment. We have all kinds of pipelines. We use it for data science. We use it for data engineering, obviously, because that's really what the inception of the idea was. And we when I say we, maybe it's a bit more me than the rest, but we also use it for data analysis. Just for a quick data analysis, sometimes Mage is the quickest thing because it allows you just to really whip up a bit of Python and just run it against your BigQuery instance.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're talking to a data scientist, they're always concerned about, oh, can this person put it in a just a Jupyter notebook? But that's almost how Mage is set up to help you like segment out your different parts of code that make it easier to run, but really it's production ready. So
no, I mean our data science pipelines. If you look at them and then you look at the data engineering ones, they actually look that they know what they're working on, because the data engineering are like really simple.
Yeah.
Block does this, very very modular, and the data science ones, it's what you said. It's the Jupyter notebook, but they've moved it into Mage. It allows them to work in that way, and it's easy for them. So I'm pretty glad with that.
So what kind of advice would you give some data engineers who are evaluating Mage, either for their organization or, whatever it might be?
I would say try it. When we started with Mage, we had it in our, as I said, in local laptops, and then we went to a Docker instance. But it's very easy to quick start it in your local machine, give it a test, and see if it's worth your time. For me, as for an organization like ours, it just made total sense. The difficulty curve is not that steep. Everybody can use it. Obviously, with everything you need a bit of training, but everybody can use it. Community is really good, so it's easy always to get an answer whenever you get stuck on something like very niche, and it's powerful enough to do. I think we haven't got into something that Mage hasn't been able to do. So for me, as a data engineer, that covers all my bases.
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking about Mage. There is the open source version. There is the pro version. What's been your biggest success, I guess, since moving from open source to pro? Since you kind of made that migration about a year ago.
I would say we don't have to manage infrastructure anymore. So even though it's a bit selfish, that's like the big win for us. We forget about that. We forget about managing versions. We get all the goodies, but we don't have any of the pain points. So that was a really good deal for us.
Yeah, definitely. And any quick thoughts on where data engineering is headed for the future? I mean, I think we kind of chatted through some AI stuff, but what are your thoughts?
Data engineering as a whole, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not going anywhere. Let's just start by that. I think everybody's going to start doing a bit of data engineering in our environment. And I think that tools, for example, like Mage SQL is going to become like a very, very, even though it's a basic one, but it's going to be a basic one for everybody. And it's not going anywhere. With the age of AI already here, it's just, we're going to have to start, sorting out everything that we have and making it more AI accessible, if you will.
Yeah.
So we can then, have a semantic layer on top, then have an LLM on top, and then just users will just ask questions to the data directly instead of having to, learn SQL to query that information. They'll have to learn SQL to know what on earth is happening under the hood, but they will just ask directly the question.
Yeah. So you really feel like the analytics portion is going to be like more heavily using AI than the actual like back-end data engineering type work?
No, I think both are going to do it. I think we both have to adapt to it. I think it's going to change the way that we work. And for example, with Mage, we also have the Mage AI, which we use a bit, which is to just ask the AI if you get stuck on maybe there's some kind of feature that I haven't heard or haven't read in the logs when you deploy a new version. It's that kind of thing it's just gonna help us become faster, more reliable in this kind of sense. So being a data engineer, what you want is data to get there as fast as possible, no problems, and in time with the structure that you need, with the schema you need, and forget about it, and then go have your coffee. With that's going to become, with AI, it's going to become quicker and quicker to just deploy a new data flow, deploy a new extraction to somewhere. It's just going to become easier and easier and quicker and quicker.
Yeah. So one additional question I kind of thought of. You mentioned that you're wanting Lodgify to use Mage kind of across the board. So if you're not as technical as others, you still want them to be able to use Mage. How many users do you have who are not necessarily day to day in Mage, but who are touching Mage on a weekly or monthly basis? How many would you say employees are working through Mage?
Well, we've got quite a few. I'm glad that you didn't say that they're not non-technicals, because they would kill me if I would say they're non-technical. For example, we've got our AI team use Mage. I wouldn't say they use it on a daily basis, and I think it might run into some problem because, as I said, you might not know a feature or something, but they have been onboarded and they use it quite well. Data science guys as well. And they use it from time to time whenever they finish, they Jupyter Notebook, you move it into Mage, and it's quite easy for them. So we will have, I don't know, 10 to 15 people in there maybe that they don't use it on a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis, we'll have 3 or 4.
Okay.
And it's the rest of the team that will go in, and obviously there's always questions, but with any kind of tool, but they always get the job done, and it's an easy one for them. I think maybe they're telling me that there is an easy one. They're just not telling me the issues that they have.
Yeah. Well, that's really going to wrap it up for today. I want to leave it open, and we'll just kind of sit here for like a minute or two for any last minute questions that might come in. But yeah, it was great having you here. I think there's more for us to talk about in a future one of these as well. So definitely enjoyed the session.
No, I really enjoy it. Thank you for having me. It's just, as I said when you told me about doing this, it's a tool that we use. We've come to love because it's so easy to to play around with and to build our data flows with. So I'm quite happy to just chat with you guys and see what's new in the Mage world.
Yeah, definitely. And we're consistently like adding features to Mage Pro and to open source when it's when we think it's kind of applicable down to the to the open source users, and fixing bugs there as well. So we are working in both areas of our proprietary tool and open source as well. But yeah, I think that is going to kind of end it for us. I don't see any additional questions, but David, thank you for coming on and showing us a couple of pipelines that you've worked through in our Learn with Mage.
Well, thank you for having me, and anything that you need, just let me know.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.